Is there a secret to Las Vegas? Most people think it is the gambling, the lights, or the luxury. But Steve Wynn, the man who built the Mirage, the Bellagio, and the Wynn, says everyone is getting it wrong. And more importantly, he thinks the modern city is currently destroying the very thing that made it successful. He warned,
"Best not fool with the freedom of Las Vegas, and when I mean the freedom of choice, for people to spend the money the way they want. That's always been the secret of the place. And best advice I could give Las Vegas is don't fool with that magic. People won't like it."
that was a warning. And today, with resort fees hitting $50 a night, parking charges at nearly every major property, and mandatory fees tacked onto everything from restaurant bills to pool access, it looks like Vegas ignored it completely. But here is what makes this particularly fascinating. Steve Wynn is not some nostalgic outsider pining for the good old days of the Rat Pack. This is the man who literally invented modern luxury Las Vegas. He built the Mirage in 1989 and changed everything. He created the Bellagio and set a new standard for opulence. When Steve Wynn talks about what makes Vegas work, he is speaking from a position of unmatched authority. So, is he right that Vegas is losing its way? Before we dive into his warning, we need to understand why Wynn's perspective carries so much weight. Because this is not just an opinion. It is the philosophy that built modern Las Vegas. In 1989, Steve Wynn opened the Mirage, and it was not just another casino. It was a spectacle. The volcano out front erupted every 15 minutes, visible from the street, free for anyone to watch. Inside there was a tropical rainforest atrium and a habitat for white tigers. The rooms were bigger, the restaurants were better, and everything about the property screamed luxury, but it was accessible luxury. You did not need to be a whale to feel like a high roller at the Mirage. Then came the Bellagio in 1998. The dancing fountains, the conservatory with its seasonal displays, the gallery of fine art, all of it free to the public. Wynn understood something fundamental. If you give people an incredible experience, they will want to spend money. You do not have to force them. His properties consistently outperformed competitors not because they charged more fees, but because they created an environment where guests wanted to spend. The psychology was simple. Make people feel like they are getting incredible value, and they will open their wallets willingly. And that brings us to his secret, the philosophy that he believes Las Vegas is now abandoning. To understand why Vegas is changing, you have to understand the original contract between the city and the guest. Steve Wynn described it as a psychological trade-off.
People live a normal life at home, and then they'd set aside some money, a budget, and that money would be used to go to Las Vegas, spend it the way they want, live big, get a little crazy, stay up late, drink, go to shows, maybe gamble. All the bright lights, the freedom of Las Vegas to behave a little crazy. The town gave you permission.
This is deeper than it first appears. In your normal life, you are disciplined. You are a parent, an employee, a taxpayer. You are constantly told what to do and where your money must go. Your mortgage comes first. Your car payment is due. Your kid's college fund needs contributions. Every dollar is spoken for, allocated, budgeted. But then there is the Vegas fund. People would literally create a separate savings account for it. This was not vacation money. This was Vegas money. Money specifically set aside to break the rules, to stay up until 4 in the morning, to order the expensive steak, to put $100 on red just because you felt like it. Vegas was America's pressure release valve. It was the one place where the normal rules did not apply, where you had permission to be impulsive, to be wild, to make decisions based purely on what you wanted in that moment. But this is critical. That permission relied on one thing: choice. The magic was not that Vegas was expensive or cheap. The magic was that you decided how to spend your Vegas fund. Maybe you spent it all on a fancy dinner and shows, skipping the casino entirely. Maybe you stayed in a modest room and put everything on the tables. Maybe you went to the buffet and blew your budget on bottle service at a nightclub. The point was, it was your choice. The city gave you options, and you picked your own adventure. So, what happened? When did this start to change? The shift began subtly in the late 1990s and early 2000s, but it accelerated dramatically after the 2008 financial crisis. Casino revenue was down, visitation was soft, Wall Street was demanding better margins, and corporate management, many of whom had never actually built a casino or understood Vegas culture, looked at the spreadsheets and saw an opportunity. Resort fees were the first major crack in the foundation. The idea was simple: advertise a low room rate to get people in the door, then add a mandatory daily resort fee that covers things like Wi-Fi, gym access, and pool entry. Today, those fees average $35 to $50 per night at major strip properties. Here is why this violated Wynn's principle. You did not choose to pay for those amenities. You were forced to. Whether you used the gym or not, whether you needed the Wi-Fi or not, you paid. And psychologically, that changes everything. When you choose to spend $200 on a room because it has an amazing pool and great amenities, you feel empowered. When you book a $120 room and then get hit with a mandatory $45 resort fee, you feel scammed. Then came parking. For decades, parking at Las Vegas casinos was free. It was such a fundamental part of the experience that charging for it seemed unthinkable. But in 2016, MGM Resorts started charging for parking at most of its properties. Caesars followed. Suddenly, if you drove to Las Vegas, you were paying $18 to $30 per day just to park your car. The public backlash was immediate and fierce. Eventually, MGM backed down on some properties, making parking free for Nevada residents and loyalty program members. But the damage was done. The message was sent. We don't care about the principle anymore. This is where Wynn's critique becomes surgical. Listen to how he frames the problem.
Well, gotta be careful in Las Vegas today. The Jones start telling people how to spend their money. Charge you too much for parking. Charge you for a massage or a spa fee, even if you don't go to the spa for a massage. Even if you don't rent a lounge at the pool.
Notice the language, telling people how to spend their money. That's the fundamental violation. When you add mandatory fees, you're removing choice. You're telling the guest you will spend $45 on resort amenities whether you want them or not. You will spend $25 on parking whether you like it or not. Think about your last trip to the Strip. You booked a room for $150, but then came the mandatory $45 resort fee, then the $30 daily parking. Then you notice the restaurant added an automatic 20% service charge plus a mysterious 3% CNF fee. Your overpriced poolside drink comes with a mandatory 22% gratuity. The nightclub has a $50 cover charge even though you have a table reservation. Individually, none of these fees are enormous, but collectively, they add up to something psychologically devastating. The feeling that you're being nickel and dimed at every turn. You stop feeling like a high roller. You start feeling like a victim of a corporate algorithm designed to extract maximum revenue from your wallet before you've even had your morning coffee. And here's what the spreadsheet-focused executives did not understand. When people feel like they're being scammed, they do not spend more. They spend less. They become defensive. They start looking for ways to avoid fees rather than ways to enjoy themselves. The guest who used to happily drop $200 on dinner now thinks that they are already being forced to pay $50 in resort fees they did not want, so they eat at the cheap buffet to make up for it. The guest who used to tip generously now asks why they should tip when there is already a mandatory 20% service charge. There is a fascinating economic principle at play here, and it is one that old-school Vegas operators like Wynn understood intuitively. Perceived value matters more than actual price. Let me give you an example. In the 1990s, the Bellagio charged premium room rates, sometimes $300 to $400 a night. when competitors were at $150 a night. Parking was free, the fountains were free, the conservatory was free, the art gallery was free. You could walk through one of the most beautiful casino properties in the world without spending a dime. What happened? People came in droves. They felt like they were getting incredible value. And once they were there, surrounded by beauty and luxury, they spent money happily. They would spend $300 on dinner at Picasso because they felt like they were part of something special. Now, compare that to today's model. You book a room for $150, then get hit with a $45 resort fee, a $25 parking charge, a $12 bottle of water from the minibar, a $10 CNF fee at the restaurant, and on and on. You might actually pay the same total amount, but you feel completely different about it. You feel ripped off. You feel like the casino is trying to trick you. And that feeling does not inspire generosity, it inspires resentment. And if you've ever felt this way, if you're tired of being nickel and dimed in Vegas, hit the like button so this reaches more people who feel the same way. Because this is not just about Vegas. It is about what happens when corporations prioritize spreadsheets over people. The old Vegas model was based on earned spending. Give people such an amazing experience that they want to spend money. The new model is based on extracted spending. Force them to pay for things whether they want them or not. Guess which one builds long-term loyalty? Here is where Wynn's warning becomes prophetic. Because there are other choices in the world to go gamble, for sure. But the fun of Las Vegas was that you could take your pick as you see fit. Leave it that way. When Wynn built the Mirage in 1989, Las Vegas had a near monopoly on the indulgent escape experience. If you wanted world-class entertainment, luxury hotels, and legal casino gambling all in one place, you went to Vegas. You did not have a choice. But that monopoly is gone. Today you can gamble in 41 states. Tribal casinos have opened across the country, many offering Vegas-style amenities. Atlantic City, while struggling, still exists. States are legalizing sports betting. Online gambling is growing. And it is not just gambling. You can get Michelin star dining in dozens of American cities. You can see Cirque du Soleil touring productions. You can stay in luxury hotels anywhere. So, what is left? What makes Vegas special? It used to be the feeling of freedom, the feeling that you could be whoever you wanted to be for a weekend, the feeling that the city was designed to say yes to your impulses. But if that feeling is gone, if Vegas becomes a place where you feel nickel and dimed and restricted and forced to pay for things you did not want, then why go? Why not gamble at the tribal casino 2 hours from your house? Why not take that money and go to New York or Miami or San Francisco? The competition is not just other casinos. The competition is every other destination that makes people feel valued instead of exploited. Now, to be fair to modern Vegas management, there is a strategic logic behind this shift. After 2008, casino executives looked at the data and realized something. The average visitor is not that profitable anymore. The real money comes from high rollers, the whales who might lose $100,000 in a weekend. So the strategy became to optimize everything for whales, build ultra-luxury suites, offer generous comps to big players, and for everyone else, extract maximum revenue through fees, because they are not the target demographic anyway. This is the shift Wynn warned against. Here is the problem with that strategy. It kills the aspiration. Part of Vegas's magic was that the average person could feel like a high roller. You could not afford to stay in the chairman's suite at the Bellagio, but you could walk through the lobby and see the Chihuly ceiling and feel like you were part of that world. You could eat at a nice restaurant, catch a show, play some blackjack, and feel like you had lived large, even if you only spent $1,000 for the whole weekend. That aspirational quality is what kept people coming back. They would save up, come to Vegas, feel like $1 million for a weekend, and immediately start planning their next trip. But when you nickel and dime the average visitor, you kill that feeling. They do not feel like high rollers anymore. They feel like second-class citizens being tolerated while the casino hunts for whales. Here is the kicker. Those average visitors are the ones who fill the rooms on weekdays. They are the ones who keep the restaurants busy during off-peak hours. They are the base that allows Vegas to function. Alienate them, and the whole ecosystem suffers. So, where does this leave Las Vegas? The city is at a crossroads, and the data proves Steve Wynn was right to be worried. Visitation numbers dropped for 10 straight months through the end of 2025, the longest sustained decline since the 2008 financial crisis. This isn't ancient history. This is happening right now. More and more people report feeling like Vegas has become too expensive, too corporate, too focused on separating them from their money. The question is whether Vegas management will recognize the problem before it's too late. Fundamentally, the industry needs to rediscover what Steve Wynn understood. Las Vegas isn't selling hotel rooms or slot machines or buffets. It's selling a feeling. The feeling of freedom, the feeling of possibility, the feeling that for one weekend you get to make your own rules. You can't create that feeling with mandatory fees and forced upsells. You create it by giving people choices and letting them spend their Vegas fund however they want. Let me bring this full circle with Wynn's final thought.
That's always been the secret of the place. And best advice I could give Las Vegas is don't fool with that magic. People won't like it.
Steve Wynn is no longer running the Strip, but his secret remains the most important lesson for the city's future. Las Vegas isn't a commodity, it's a feeling. It's the feeling of being free from the rules of home. When the corporate spreadsheets start outrunning the guest experience, the magic vanishes, and the data suggests he was right. Cities that adopted Vegas's old playbook, places like Macau and Singapore, are thriving by offering spectacle and choice. Meanwhile, Vegas itself is fighting perception problems about value and nickel and diming. Vegas still has everything it needs to reclaim the magic. The infrastructure is there. The talent is there. The location is still unmatched. What's missing is the philosophy, the understanding that you can't force people to have a good time. You have to create an environment where spending money feels like empowerment, not extraction. So the next time you see a service fee or a mandatory add-on on your Vegas bill, remember what the architect of the modern Strip said. People won't like it, and eventually they'll stop coming. What do you think? Is Vegas still the land of freedom, or has it become a giant tourist trap optimized for maximum revenue extraction? Let me know in the comments. If you want more deep dives into how Las Vegas transformed from the city of dreams into something very different, hit subscribe. I will see you in the next one.